Move up towards State Route 19. So Ripley, you are in the clear, even though you're on the edge of the tornado emergency. That brings in small communities like Nutbush, Durhamville. You're expecting this within the next 10 minutes or so by 6:10, 6:15, approaching those communities, and even near Cotton Lake. Brownsville, also a city, you're not even under the warning, but it's likely to be extended your way. You may be on the south side of this, but we've got to watch this very closely. And again, another tornado emergency for the same supercell. We've been tracking this. You know, could you do me a favor, JD? And if we go back to the radar, and then what we'll do is just zoom out a bit and track this all the way past Wynne, Arkansas, and see how far this is tracked, because there's Wynne, all right? Look at where the tornado is right now. We know it formed off towards the south and west of Wynne, Arkansas. It went that whole path, right? I mean, how far is that? How far are we talking? I mean, I would say over 50 miles for some of these areas. And you can see the past 2 hours of the radar scan, essentially. Okay, now we're talking, we're over 80 miles now. So this is what we were fearing, and this is what the high-risk tornado threat meant, was these kinds of storms leveling communities like Wynne, extremely deadly, dangerous, and are continuing to push off towards the north and east. And Covington, you have just been hit by a tornado just south side of town. I mean, we aren't going to be able to get reports in until the next few minutes. It's going to take some time before we get ground truth, but we know there's a tornado on the ground. We've seen it. We've already seen what it's done in Arkansas. We know it's doing. Look at the debris now. I mean, goodness gracious. And if you relay the velocity right over that, it's exactly where you have debris. And because it was a little bit less noticeable before it moved through Covington, boom, moves through the more structures, picks up more debris, and then boom, it just lights up like that. And then that becomes even more destructive. So then as it pushes out over some of these more farm fields and forested areas, less populated areas, less structures, we'll probably see the correlation coefficient go back down, maybe not as noticeable. But I want to also zoom out really quickly and then track this even further. Before we go there, let's go back to the tornado emergency really quickly if we can, and then pull it up. There's Jackson, Tennessee. We've tornadoes in Jackson, right? The Union tornado. If this continues on, this is going to hit north of Jackson, but you get a community of nearly 100,000 folks in the greater Jackson metropolitan area, and they're spread out here. There's Interstate 40. And so think about this. If you're in these communities that are not in the warning, but if you live in, say, Huntingdon and areas, I would say, off towards the northeast, I mean, if this continues, which we've already seen it track over 80 miles, Huntington, you're not under a warning yet, and it may be another 30 minutes before you are issued one. But I would start getting into your safe place now. This storm means business. It's already tracked over 80 miles and will continue. You've got Paris, Tennessee, and then you get into the Nashville metro area beyond that, Clarksville. If this holds together another 100 miles, you would be in play with this monstrous supercell. All right, so that's it for that storm. I really quickly want to check in Arkansas, because we've got 2 new tornado warnings, and these are concerning because these are supercells. They've got a ton of area to take in the energy and grow. They are kind of close together, but I'm concerned about the southernmost one that's moved through Pine Bluff. I mentioned it earlier, about 45 minutes ago. It produced a tornado. It weakened, but there we go. We got a tornado warning there in parts of Arkansas. It looks like I messed that up. We got tornado watches for these areas, and really quickly, if we can, looks like it's loading. Yep, we're good. I want to hit that warning, because if those continue, they are making it in a beeline towards the Memphis metro area, and you've got little time before that happens. So I know they look insignificant now. We're not seeing the tornado emergencies, and none of these have been confirmed. They're radar indicated, but they're ones to treat seriously, and they're getting that look, right? They're getting that hook. You're starting to see that well-defined hook right there, and that's right over I-40. There's Little Rock. There's Memphis, kind of smack dab in the middle. So this is moving in that general vicinity. It's the southernmost one, though, that is going to be a concern for the Memphis metro area. That includes Arkansas, Jefferson, and Lonoke counties are under a tornado warning. Please take shelter here. Unfortunately, Stuttgart is likely going to be hit directly if there is a tornado. This is moving right over you. You're probably seeing some hail. There's hail embedded in that and large wind damage. If we switch over to the velocity, you can see, yeah, we do have some of that rotation right there. So this is going to be a storm to watch, I think, in the next hour or two as it approaches eastern Arkansas and heads towards the vicinity of the Memphis metro area. That's the latest with some of the most threatening cells there in Arkansas.